Hello everyone, my name is Jameson Chase Young. This is Coins in History, and I'm standing at the Shiloh National Military Park, obviously where the Battle of Shiloh was fought. You know, Shiloh's one of those battles that, you know, kind of like Antietam and Gettysburg, you hear a lot about. And one of the main things about Shiloh was that it was kind of a turning in the war, kind of like you hear this in the Pacific Theater, where some of the earlier battles weren't so bad, and then there was like those battles like Peleliu that the casualties shot up and everybody kind of realized the closer we get to mainland Japan, this ain't gonna be easy. That's kind of like Shiloh. It was a turning point psychologically, because prior to Shiloh, people were thinking, okay, you know, maybe this battle, maybe this war will be over with in a year, so it won't be so bad. Once Shiloh happened, everybody kind of realized this ain't gonna be ending anytime soon, because Shiloh had horrible casualties. The battle was the costliest engagement of the Civil War to that point, and it's nearly 24,000 casualties. That's both dead, wounded, and missing. That's all casualties. It's nearly 24,000 casualties, made it one of the bloodiest battles of the entire war. You know, there's actually, you know, battlefields all over the place where they were fighting in Shiloh. You know, I asked one of the park rangers here, where was the battlefield? And he said it was everywhere.
Yeah, the battle begins in Fraley Field, tour stop number 7, about 3 miles from here. And all day, April 6th, the Federal Army is going to be pushed back to this position, the highway the road he came in on. And then on the morning of the 7th, Grant counterattacks. He pushes back south and retakes all the ground that he lost the previous day. Battle ends mid-afternoon on April 7th.
Okay. Thanks. You know, yeah, you got fields with a bunch of cannons off over here, fields with a bunch of cannons off over there. And like when you come up to the cemetery is huge. And like I'll show you in the video, it's not just Civil War guys there, but I suppose any veteran or his family members can be buried there, because there's lots of veterans like World War II, Korea, Vietnam, even some very modern day tombstones there. But yeah, being in this place is very humbling, you know, like just like an ocean of tombstones, and just being in Shiloh in general is very humbling. Like I once went to like the D-Day beaches, like Omaha Beach, and it was, you know, kind of a somber feeling. That's the same thing you get when you go to like Civil War battlefields. You know, it's like you hear the names, you know, growing up, these Gettysburg type names, or, you know, in World War II, these Iwo Jima type names, but they're just like names to you. But yeah, actually being here is kind of a weird thing. Just think that, you know, this is where all those, you know, the movies they make about, this is where the events that they make those movies about, this is where it actually happened. So yeah, it's very humbling. And when you go up, there's a nice visiting center here, and you can go through the visiting center. They got like uniforms and guns. They also have an entire movie theater, you know, that gives a nice little documentary about Shiloh.
The great battle General Grant and others hoped might signal the war's end is in fact just the beginning of a total war. Americans, North and South, free and slave, will face 3 more Aprils of destruction, sacrifice, and unimaginable carnage.
And when you're driving up, you can see all the different units, you know, the Illinois unit, the Tennessee unit, the Ohio unit, and there's all these different plaques like, oh, this is what, you know, this unit did. This is what General Grant did. He was the leading troops here. This is what that, you know, unit did. And then you get to the end of the road where like the visiting center and the house is, and that's also where the graveyard is, the cemetery, both for several of the people who fell here, and also for like other veterans. Like I said, World War II, Korea, Vietnam type veterans are buried there too, and their families. And, you know, a lot of the tombstones though, you know, some of them have names, some of them just have unknown markers, and some of them just have numbers. And then Shiloh National Cemetery, the final resting place for 3,584 Civil War soldiers, with 2,359 of them being unknown. So most of the soldiers in the cemetery are unknown. So it's like a massive cemetery, and they got nice little monuments. Like, not only do they have these cannons all kind of laid out, and they have monuments and plaques shaped like tombstones that have like history on them, but they also have like cannonballs, like they could be real, but like they made pyramids out of cannonballs and made memorials out of them. And then all over the place, yeah, there's just all different types of memorials. They have those things like that they have in ancient Egypt. They have a lot of those smaller versions with like infantry units that served here as little memorials. I can see an Indiana one, I can see an Iowa one. Those are all, the camera is currently sitting on a big tombstone looking thing. It's not a tombstone, but it's a monument to the Illinois unit that fought here. But the Battle of Shiloh, also known as the Battle of Pittsburgh Landing, and it was fought on April 6th to April 7th, 1862. The fighting, it mainly took place in the southwestern Tennessee area, Western Theater. The battle is located between a small, undistinguished church named Shiloh and Pittsburgh Landing on the Tennessee River. And the Confederate Army, they'd hoped to defeat Grant's army before it could be reinforced and resupplied. Grant's army was not eliminated. Overnight, Grant's army of the Tennessee was reinforced by one of its divisions. The Union forces conducted an unexpected counterattack in the morning, which reversed the Confederates' gains of the previous day. But yeah, Shiloh is just, it's one of its main things that it's known for in history. It was like the turning point in the war where everybody realized this ain't going to be over with anytime soon, and it wasn't. Shiloh was fought in early April 6th and April 7th of 1862. So the war would continue on for another 3 years and even get worse and worse and worse. If you look at like the casualties that came out of Gettysburg, it was even, significantly worse than Shiloh. It's cool when you see, you can look at the cannons, and most of them have dates on them somewhere, and some of them were actually probably here. Like some of them say 1861 or 1862. Some of them are newer, and by newer I mean they were made in 1863 or 1864. So they're still Civil War cannons, but some of them were made after the Battle of Shiloh. It was one of the first military parks in the United States. The park features a well-preserved battlefield with monuments, cannons, and historic sites like the Hornet's Nest. That's where the main fighting took place. The Union Army was really holding that tight, and the Confederate Army was really attacking it, where the Hornet's Nest was. And then the Bloody Pond, a national cemetery for over 3,500 Civil War dead, and the Shiloh Indian Mounds, National Historic Landmark, offering a self-guided tour and visitation center and exhibition. The battlefield has it's over 5,000 acres with 150 monuments, 200 cannons, 650 historic tablets, including a 13-mile self-guided tour. But yeah, if you're ever in southwestern Tennessee, the Shiloh Battlefield is a must-see, because the early mid to 1860s, that's a Mount Rushmore of American history. That's one of those time periods that you could argue is the most historical time period in American history. And it was in 1862 when this battle was being fought. But if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like button and please subscribe. My name's Jameson Chase Young, and this is Coins in History. Thank you for watching.